Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And today, I'm back a couple days before Christmas with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore, who's dressed like an elf today.
Dressed like an elf today. I'm wearing my Papa Smurf hat.
Ah, there you go, Papa Smurf. Okay. Well, it looks good, Bill. Looks good. I'm sure a lot of people like it better than your Harris Waltz hat.
Oh, well, you know what? I have got at least a dozen different caps. Everything from the USS Constitution to FBI to the Port Townsend, Washington 48th annual wooden boat show.
Yeah, I've got the only hat I've got like the military one. I've got one it says Millennium Falcon on it. But
okay, sure, why
it
not?
It looks like one of the military ones, but it's really kind of funny. All right, I'm going to start off with something I picked up off of LinkedIn, which I pick up a lot of energy-related articles on LinkedIn. And in this particular case,
there's some pretty smart guys on LinkedIn and gals on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So this is about natural gas. And now, I think I told you before, I'm working on some projects where we're incorporating natural gas on the front end of deals with the intention of replacing it later with either waste energy, where we're producing natural gas from trash.
From the waste energy.
Yeah,
right.
we're recycling trash and converting it, and then eventually into small modular nuclear reactors. But in this case, natural gas used to mean cheap electricity. Now, the levelized cost of energy on natural gas has traditionally been like 4 cents, 3 cents. It's been pretty cheap. And new gas plants are far more expensive to build than the ones constructed a decade ago. Turbine manufacturers scaled back production after years of low demand. Now utilities face wait times of 5 to 7 years to obtain the necessary equipment. Much of the skilled workforce that built the gas plants in the 2000s, 2010s have retired or moved into other industries. The CEO of Next Era Energy says that a new gas plant today would cost 3 times what it would have cost just a little over 3 years ago in 2022.
That's assuming you can even get a turbine, and those are ordered out until the very earliest 2028.
Yes. Yeah, I do have access to some that we're remanufacturing.
Okay.
So I have access to about 200 megawatts of gas turbines that we have to service, but we could have them in service within 18 months on a customer site. But
the price of the gas then.
Yeah. So LNG in itself isn't really that expensive. It's the cost of getting the setup now.
Right.
Is where things have gotten crazy. But fuel costs, natural gas has jumped 59% from 2024 to 2025. That's a big jump, going up almost 60%.
Yeah.
We're expecting another 14% increase in 2026. LNG exports are expanding under new federal direction. And as exports grow, domestic gas competes with higher priced markets overseas. When those buyers over there are willing to pay more, American homes and businesses feel the impact. Households feel this directly. Wholesale electric prices rose 23% in 2025. Another increase is expected next year. Retail gas utility service is up 11%. Heating bills are projected to rise again this winter. Millions of people are already struggling with their bills. 1 in 20 households now owes enough in a utility debt to be sent to collections. That's a lot, 5% of people. But that's a pretty big jump. Natural gas may not be a real player for much longer. It's really kind of sad to see that. So, I mean, obviously, in my mind, it's a better alternative going from coal to LNG.
Somewhat better. It's lower carbon emissions and other nasty stuff that's buried in that coal.
I had somebody send me a story on Reuters that was talking about how peaker systems are making a comeback, that are diesel powered. And it's like, well, I know this has happened here in Sarpy County. Sarpy County is here in Nebraska, where we live. And we have some big data centers, Yahoo, Google, I think Facebook,
just out over that way from me.
There you go. But there are peaker systems around, and they're necessary because those systems can't go down. And it's using dirtier fuel sources that are far more expensive, but they can turn on instantly
Right.
if there's a shortage and get things back on track. Anyways, let's see here. I had this article. Tesla Robotaxis supposedly now are crashing more than 12 times as frequently as human drivers. So this was something I really didn't expect to see. New data comes as Tesla is removing the human safety monitors.
Yep.
Now, what's deemed a crash may be a little less likely, but they count anything, right? Oh, we got more people saying hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good to see it. Good to see it.
Hi.
Yeah. But all of the crashes so far have occurred with human safety monitors who've been trained to take control of the car in the event of a software error present in the vehicles.
Yeah, there's a little button on the door handle apparently that they can push.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The removal of the human safety monitors brings the company a critical step closer to its goal of launching a real commercial robotaxi service. It'll most likely ramp up the scrutiny on Tesla's ongoing testing in Austin, doubly so when the company starts offering rides in the empty cars. It doesn't really give a nature of what, though, the severity, because I haven't heard of any robotaxi incidents that were serious.
No, they're apparently what they've been are basically what we regard as quote minor. In other words, it wasn't some running into the back of an ambulance or those kinds of things that's plagued them in the past. It's more I think what we would maybe call fender benders. At least not that we're now we've got lots of people out there that are following what is happening with Tesla, good and bad, and I'm not aware of. I mean, what I did post today, for example, is there have been, I think the number was 12 people that have died in Tesla crashes that couldn't get out of the car because the doors would not unlock.
They didn't realize there was a release mechanism in the
apparently it's not something that's necessarily easily gotten to, and who knows what kind of condition they were in at the time, whether they were disoriented or injured or whatever. So
yeah, that is, you'd think they'd make that a little bit easier to find.
Well, I think there is an effort that's being done now to rethink that and come up with something that does. If you get involved in a crash, it doesn't disable the door handles or whatever it is there. I've driven a handful of Teslas, but I can't say that I'm all that familiar, with the mechanism. I've certainly never driven it in an AI mode where it's
right. Well, all right. Well, Bill, what was it, about 2-3 weeks ago? Elon Musk became the first person to break $600 billion net worth.
Yeah, and then the Delaware courts caved and gave him the rest of it. Now he's worth a unseemly. No one in the world.
Well, Bill, how much do you think your
money.
net worth has gone up since he went to $600 billion? I'd say mine went down a couple $100.
Probably went down. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's up another $100 billion. He's up to $700 billion.
It's obscene. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's no way one person can spend with any kind of a conscience, unless they're just saying, I'm going to give it all away to various things that improve the life of the planet overall. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not.
Maybe some respects he's doing that. Yeah. I mean, it's not like he can write a check right now.
Right. No.
It's all paper money.
Well, yeah. It's not even
paper money. It's really just a bunch of digits in a database.
No, it's just that people have decided that SpaceX is worth $800 billion, and people have decided that Tesla is worth $1.5 trillion, and they've decided that XAI is worth whatever they've decided, and
Yeah.
so now all of a sudden it makes him worth $700 billion.
In theory.
In theory, it's just, it's,
may I use the word obscene?
Bill, you're being called a communist. Well,
I didn't say that's not communist. That's not at all communist. Thanks, Doug. Come on. I mean, honestly, think about it. $700 billion.
Yeah.
How long if you spent $1 million a day, how long would it take you to go through 700 billion? What, a millennium or more?
Well, if I spent $1 billion a day, it would take me 2 years.
I didn't say $1 billion. I said $1 million a day.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying, but even at $1 billion, it would be 2,000, or no, it would be 2,000 years at $1 million a day if that didn't grow.
So, yeah, I mean, come on. It's obscene, it's stupid, it's ridiculous. Hey, pay a person what he's worth, but it ain't $700 billion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but nobody's paying him that either.
No,
he created things, and people have decided that the things Musk has created are worth that. I mean, it's just nuts. If somebody was, this is the thing that's why people aren't up in arms about it, is because people have basically voted saying, "Hey, Musk is worth this kind of money." It's not that
I haven't.
I get that.
I put not a dime in Tesla.
Yeah.
So I did cash out on Rivian last week.
Oh yeah, how's it doing today?
It's down actually a little bit. So I sold at the high.
Whoa. Nice. It's about time, Bill. It's about time.
It's about time. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something when I was at the gym today. A little thing flashed across. It's now the time to buy Oklo stock now that it's cratered.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it probably is. It probably is. But it is kind of funny how I wrote it so well there that it got out in time before it really cratered. Yeah, it's interesting to see this because, a lot of people probably are thinking that, it's like Musk just has all of this in like a checkbook or something. And in reality, I remember a year or so ago, somebody said that Musk could solve world hunger and end world hunger by if he spent $7 billion of his money. And he goes, prove that, and I will write the check right now. Kind of thing. It's like, if I could solve world hunger for that, I would do it in a second.
Yeah, I mean, and even that, nobody's writing him a check or crediting it to his bank account. That's it. It's something that he has to meet. Doesn't have to meet certain financial targets and performance targets, and then he gets the option to buy the stock at a certain price. And that, I mean, it's not like he's got that in a huge, piggy bank Scrooge McDuck, style somewhere.
Yeah, no, but the crazy thing is how it keeps going up while, we have other articles about how EV sales in the US are suffering and how, EV sales are declining for Tesla, yet the Tesla stock keeps going up. And SpaceX is going to probably be as big as Tesla.
People are looking for hope.
Yes. Yeah. So.
And they're, I guess in a way that's good, because what they're seeing is the future is in fact going to be, and increasingly is becoming, electric, right? Mm-hmm. And we're looking to sort of expand humanity beyond the confines of the troposphere around the planet. And there's some good things that are happening and benefits we get from having, craft in space, sending, measuring things. And so, yeah, I don't. I've watched some videos of people, Neil deGrasse, whatever, talking about Mars and the fact that there's no way that we're going to ever settle Mars. just too many practical obstacles and biological, physiological obstacles. It turns out, one thing that the guy that wrote The Martian, remember the movie where the astronaut is Martianaut, whatever, stranded on Mars, and he's saying, I wrote that, because the guy, oh, what is it? I can't remember the actor. He grew potatoes with his poop, right?
Oh,
And survived for months, on these potatoes that he had. And it turns out that they learned that they can't do that because the soil on Mars is contaminated with percolite or something like that. It's a poison, and you can't grow currently anything on Mars because of the soil. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why it will be very difficult to terraform it sometime. It'll be that if it happens, it'll be generations from now. So,
well, Bill, if they discover oil, we'll be colonizing Mars in the next 12 months.
No. There's probably little likelihood of oil there, but where there is oil is on Titan. They have lakes, frozen lakes of methane on Titan. So you could go up there. We just put a pipeline right from Earth to methane to Titan, and we could get all the oil that we want.
Yeah, I don't think we need methane, right? Yeah, I don't think we need any methane, Bill. We got enough of that coming from cow farts. We have a limitless supply.
Limitless supply.
Yes. Yeah, as long as we keep feeding cows cow feed that's not natural to their diets, we'll produce all the methane we want.
Don't give them corn.
Don't let them
graze the way nature designed them to graze.
But then they won't produce the methane that we need for global warming. Because in Nebraska, we got to get rid of these Nebraska winters. Okay.
Oh, well, that's happening, isn't it? Wow.
Oh, man.
Hey, did you know that Jaguar has produced its very last gasoline engine vehicle?
No, I didn't realize that.
They have, for the last F-Pace, it's called. The very last one was produced in England, and from henceforth, there will not be, unless, of course, somehow or another they change, like Europe decided to backtrack a little on its, no EV or no ICE policy. But, the very last one was produced out of their plant in Solihull or something like that over in England. Everything else going forward will be electric.
Is it going to be straight electric, or we got some hybrids in there too?
I think it's just straight electric at this point. I haven't seen any talk with the chatter about Jaguar that indicates that could change, of course. There's the Chinese company, Chinese European, one conglomerate kind of a thing that's building a small generator that would allow the car to be a series hybrid. So, that might be an option at some point. But at the moment, it looks like everything is being electrified. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, one of the things is they've got that alliance with Waymo. And so the sheer number of Jaguars they're selling to Waymo as electric vehicles.
Did you see what happened to Waymo?
Oh yeah, I got that on the list.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, this one's pretty funny.
And what surprised me, it wasn't because the power went out in San Francisco. The reason that they had problems is because the traffic lights stopped working. And apparently that's how the Waymo cars know when to, how to move through traffic is having, images, videos of the traffic lights.
Yeah. So what's happened here is these Waymos started stacking up at the traffic lights because they know they're supposed to be a traffic light. They don't see it. And so the cars aren't being affected. So they just stopped and they started holding up traffic, and they started doing this all over San Francisco.
Yeah.
This was on the 20th, so 3 days ago. Yeah, that was something I guess they just didn't really anticipate. But it caused some real problems because I remember seeing some notifications that
Oh, so I
that
was reading one of the comments. It's
yeah,
a Ponzi scheme. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Take your silly arguments and go somewhere else. Don't bother us here.
Oh, I don't care. Uh, people can say whatever they want. I remember
Yeah.
one time we had this guy on as a special guest that had a really big following, and his people were nasty. I really couldn't believe some of the crap they were saying in chat. Um, and but we had good viewership that day.
Oh, good.
It was. I mean, he pulled. I don't know what the total number was, but it was. I think we had over 1,000, live viewers, and but his channel, like I said, was big. He has like 500,000 followers, and but it was interesting to see because a lot of the chat was politically motivated. He kept apologizing to me. It's like, look, it doesn't bother me. You know,
Okay,
I don't really care.
all I ask, pick your AI, whoever it is. I don't care whether it's a Grok or whatever, and ask it to put a query to it. Is the phenomenon or whatever you want to call it hoax? Is climate change a hoax? See what turns up.
But Bill, I have one of my issues I have sometimes with various AIs is trying to get them not to have bias. And I feel
Well,
that the news is overwhelmingly in support of climate change being real. Okay. And there's definitely things changing. There's no question that man affects various things. It's just to what degree and are we affecting the temperature? Um, the thing is, they did have to go from global warming to climate change, right? Because it's clear that we're still in a colder period than where at least the northern hemisphere was in, say, like the 900s.
oh,
Okay,
sure, yeah.
but that's
And of course, the question is what caused that, and in likelihood, a lot of that happens because of volcanism and things of that nature that have eventually, if it's big enough and bad enough, will have a effect. And oftentimes, that happens in parts of the world where there are no ways to get external communication out to a broader, to the readers of the London Times in 1890, right? It just
right. Yeah, you don't
it
know what's
happened. I
been
mean,
going
sure,
on.
it fluctuates, but when you take a look at we'll take ice core, for example, and you go
Mhm.
back thousands of years in the ice core and you can read those, and those indicate that there are changes and that the changes are in a positive direction in terms of the concentration of CO2. And then you measure, okay, all right, we've only been measuring temperature for the last, a couple hundred years.
Mhm.
But even in that period of time, we've seen increases in the temperature. Yeah, we got extremes there. What do we have? Records here. What yesterday? I think back in 1800 something or another, we had minus 25 degrees
Mhm.
recorded here locally. Right now, it's what 45 or 50, something like that. Maybe over that. So yeah, it changes certainly, but the trend is in the direction of making major changes in the biosphere of the planet. How many bugs have you had to scrape off your windshield in the last 5 years?
And certainly not bad like it
How
was
many how many
30 years
birds?
ago.
How many birds have you seen in your backyard compared to, let's say, a decade ago?
That I
Most there
really there's been
it's
times I've
changing.
wondered why I don't see birds, and then like a couple of days ago, I had a flock sitting in my backyard that I
Yep.
don't know why they were here. I was like, which direction are you guys going? You know, so
Now, then we got all the geese over on the lake here, that
yeah,
they don't go south for winter anymore. They stay here.
huh? Well, I guess it's
Okay, we're getting
kind
off.
of
We're getting off
yeah,
the
we're getting
topic.
off track. Yeah.
Back to
So, anyways,
Jaguar.
yeah, yeah. Well, So U.S. EV sales had the first year-over-year decline since 2019. 25 EV sales projected at 200. No, this is quarter four. Quarter four U.S. EV sales projected at 230,000 units, a 46% drop from quarter three and a 37% decline year over year. But you know, the thing was, we had a massive quarter because of the fact that everybody knew
because
the
they
rebate was ending.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so comparing it to quarter three really isn't a very good number. Full year 2025 U.S. EV sales expected to reach 1.275 million, which is down 2.1% from 24. 2%. That's not really a big drop. Market share dropped to 5.7% in quarter four, down from earlier peaks, driven by the federal tax credit uncertainty and policy headwinds. Well, thanks for watching our show and have a Merry Christmas.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so, you know, it's not really unexpected. Like we said before, we've seen this before with the German model where they got rid of EV incentives a couple of years ago, and it was down for almost a whole year, and then it rocketed the following year.
And then the technology improves. You go from a car that maybe does 160 miles, you get now a car that'll do 250 miles or 300 miles. So you got improvements in the technology, you got a wider distribution of charging networks. People begin to realize the economics just makes sense. Even the upfront price is more, but over the life of the car, if you're going to keep the car for 10 or 12 years or whatever the average is for car buyers, at that point it really starts to make sense. So that catches up. People begin to realize that.
Yeah, most of our show also is what Devil Dog here is talking about. EVs are inevitable, but there's so many more things at EVs. It's not just climate change; it's air pollution, it's noise pollution. There's so many things. It's from an economic perspective, they're going to be cheaper. There's just so many advantages to electric vehicles over gas that gas just doesn't really.
I guess when you if you're talking about minerals, right? We're pulling minerals out of the earth to build batteries, for example. I mean, basically, a car is a car, whether it's powered by gas or whether it's powered by air, whatever, or powered by electricity. The battery is the difference, because when you buy a gas car, you're getting essentially an empty steel tank that you have to fill up, right? I mean, the car will probably come with a few gallons from the dealer, but basically, you're just buying an empty tank. Whereas with the electric car, you're getting pretty much all of the energy that car will ever need, and all you got to do is keep topping off, basically moving the electrons back and forth between the anode and the cathode. That petroleum that you're pulling out of the ground eventually gets, through entropy, I think that's the correct term, gets turned into just free molecules that end up going wherever they're going to go, into the atmosphere, sink into the ground as pollution. The electrons just keep moving back and forth. And of course, you've got to generate a current to get them to move back and forth, obviously. But that can be done from sunlight, right? Or just, the pathway between a wind turbine or a solar turbine or even a gas generator to generate electricity to recharge your battery is so much more efficient. There's an article that I posted today showing the pathway of hydrogen to mass transit versus the pure electric generation to a battery electric bus. And the drop in the efficiency and percentage is remarkable. And by the time you get it into the bus, this article contends that you're probably generating as much, if not more, pollution than a diesel powered version.
All right. So Inside EVs has their technology of the year, which is BYD's 5-minute flash charging technology. BYD's megawatt Okay, where we're
Megawatt.
not we're getting into ridiculous amounts of electricity that's going to have to
Yes.
be at the
We're not
charging
talking
station.
kilowatts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we are talking something that's going to use my nuclear technology at some point to power charging stations. But now BYD, of course, isn't in the U.S., but they could. There's nothing that would stop them from installing a charging network over here, right?
No,
But
nothing.
but some of these numbers get crazy. Okay, so this megawatt charging system delivers about 250 miles of range in 5 minutes of charging at a full 1 megawatt rate charging. Now, I don't know that there's any cars that are production yet
That can do
accept
that,
that.
right?
Okay, and the chargers in the United States, there's a couple in New York City. That's it. Or those are 800 kilowatts. Those aren't even megawatt. Okay.
Yeah.
In China, they have deployed these megawatt chargers to 4,000 charging stations already. We were talking about that battery swap thing where they've
Right.
got 3,000 of those battery swap locations already set up. We can't get 4 NEVI stations set up here in Nebraska. And
Yep.
they're rolling this out like it's nuts. I talk about this all the time. I'm not in favor of the Chinese Communist Party. I'm not here to praise China. Okay, they're bad actors economically and all kinds of other things. Okay, they manipulate stocks, they manipulate currency, they do all things that are unfair for trade. But they are run by a country of the politicians are all engineers. They are not lawyers like here in the United States. They don't care what the people think. They only care what they think is better overall for their country. Okay. They don't care about your side project or your personal fantasies or anything like that. They're only dealing in logic. And they've gone all in on electric vehicles. 4,000 charging stations that can pull a megawatt already.
And let me add to that. Do you know how many electric vehicles BYD has now built? I say electrified because some of those are plug-in hybrids, but
I would guess 12 million.
15
million. Wow.
15 million electrified vehicles, battery and plug-in hybrids. They are the largest. They have built more electric vehicles than I would imagine probably everybody else combined at this point, are pretty darn close.
Yeah, this is astounding that between the news we were talking about with the battery swap and this 4,000 megawatt chargers already deployed. I mean, how did they get this up? The United States, we didn't even have but a handful. When I say a handful, I mean you could probably count them on one hand of 800 megawatt chargers.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not megawatt, but kilowatt chargers.
Kilowatt chargers.
Yeah. All right. We talked about Waymo. Let's see. Okay. Here's one of your EV World articles today. Electric school buses are growing, not dying, despite Lion Electric bankruptcy. I didn't even realize Lion Electric had gone bankrupt.
No, I hadn't either until I came across this video where this guy basically says, here's proof electric school buses are dead. And this is one of those cases where I said, I gave it the URL and says, how valid are his arguments in this, saying electric school buses are dead? This is what it came back with.
Yeah. So 49 states, the District of Columbia, 4 territories, and 20 plus tribal nations have committed to electric school buses with thousands ordered. Lion Electric's bankruptcy was a single company failure, not an industry collapse. Bluebird, Thomas Built, and IC Bus continue expanding. We had that other company that went, we've had a couple companies in the bus space. What was it? Proterra? No, am I saying that right?
Proterra, yeah, they were probably the first, but they weren't doing school buses. They were doing public transit buses.
Yeah, and but it's just we haven't seen a lot of this. The sector has experienced typical growing pains of technology and maturation, not a market failure. The thing is, we've seen plenty of electric vehicle companies like Canoe and some of the others go belly up that we would have liked to have seen succeed. don't have the money, don't have the runway, they don't have the right executive team. Sometimes their visions are too broad, like the Mullen Automotive one, where they wanted to have the best in class of every type of electric vehicle. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
it's tough to manufacture one. I mean, look at
One.
how Tesla's come out. They came out first with the Model S, then a little
Well,
while later,
technically they came out with the Roadster, but then the
right?
Model S, right?
Yeah, but the Model S was the first real
Right.
true production success. And then they came out with the Model X, which wasn't quite as successful. But then they hit the Model 3 and boom.
Oh, bang,
You know,
away they went. Yep.
yeah,
That
and the EV industry really took off after
struck
the Model 3.
struck the right chords, absolutely.
Yeah, and if it weren't for the Model 3, we'd probably still not really have a lot to talk about on this show. And that's driven a lot of acceleration. Of course, the Chinese probably still would have been doing their thing, right? But that's a big change. All right. Nuclear energy takes center stage at COP, powering AI and economic surge. Nuclear energy highlighted as critical for meeting AI's massive power demands and economic growth. Even former climate skeptics are now embracing nuclear power for baseload capacity. Rockefeller Foundation's report suggests nuclear could deliver up to 30% of electricity generation for emerging economies. Let's
Okay,
see.
whatever.
All right. All right. Japan. I got more nuclear news. Japan prepares to restart world's biggest nuclear plant 15 years after Fukushima.
Not the Fukushima plant, I assume.
Well, at first when I read that, I thought, are they restarting Fukushima? It's like, no, they're not.
No. It's too damaged. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Niigata. Oh, okay. I'm gonna badly say some Japanese here in a second.
Okay.
So, an assembly called the Niigata Assembly voted to restart the Kashiwazaki Karawa nuclear plant, the world's largest.
Okay.
I bet they just call it the.
There's got to be a short name for it.
Yeah, probably call it the KKN or something like that.
KKN.
Like
okay. All right.
I don't know. The world's largest. That marks significant policy shift 15 years after Fukushima. It looks like Constellation Energy is involved in this. Constellation aims to have Crane Clean Energy Center reactor operating by 2027 based on current progress. Let's see.
Yeah, where's it located with relationship to Tokyo? Or
well, I'm sure it's probably related in Kashiwazaki. Give me a second here.
Okay. No, I hadn't seen this one, so
yeah.
You follow the nuclear closer than I do.
Yeah, well, my system pulls this stuff up for the show. Appears to be on an island. Give me a second. It is. Let me see. Where's Tokyo? Tokyo is kind of a long ways away. This is up kind of in the northwest. It's up on the northwest coast of Japan, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely away from things. Tokyo is kind of on the southeast, or it's on the southeast side of Japan. This is quite a bit further north and really on the west coast.
Trying to remember, I used to know the names of the main islands: Hokkaido, Honshu.
Well, it's on the main island.
Okay,
it's on the main island. Yeah.
That's Hokkaido, I think.
Yeah.
Don't remember. It's been a long time since I
don't ask me.
Studied Japan closely.
Yeah, ask me questions about India. I'll do better.
India, you're a little more familiar with, right?
Yeah. Don't ask me about Japan. Let me see. Oh, Lucid stock hits new all-time low despite reverse stock split.
Yes, there's a couple of interesting things with regard to Lucid we'll talk about here.
Yeah, so their shares are down 60% in 2025, hitting new lows even after a reverse split.
However, do we have them on the ticker?
They should be. They should be. Even though Lucid was named the best luxury EV brand for 25, again by Consumer Reports, and it's had some software issues. The new Gravity SUV, but promises imminent fixes. Where are
Yeah,
we at with Lucid?
it's down about 5%.
5% today. Yeah, you never know on some of these daily changes. Hell, even Ford's down almost 1%. Where's Nvidia? That's a good barometer. Oh, up 2%.
There you go.
Yeah. So the AI stuff. Let's see if AMD's a little bit down, not by much, a blip. Yeah, haven't really looked too much here. Microsoft's up a little bit, just a blip.
I noticed Rivian was down a little bit more since we started the show, so I don't know whether my comments.
Nuclear
I hope
stocks.
not.
So the EV stocks are down. It looks like the nuclear stocks are
Nuclears are
down.
down, yeah.
Yeah. You know, who knows? It's I don't know. I think Lucid's still a safe bet. Now is probably a good time to be in it.
Yeah, the article out today where there was speculation that the Saudi sovereign wealth fund, which owns 60% of Lucid, supposedly was thinking about taking it private, taking Lucid private. But that apparently there is no basis for that at this point. I guess the official communications person for Lucid said that basically to do that would do greater harm to the Saudi investment than leaving it where it is in its current status as a publicly traded company.
All right. Well, I want to talk about. So we always hear all the talk about how AI is increasing electric prices and things like that, but so I wanted to go into something else. So wildfires and electricity prices, and this is more of a thing for the Western United States, but in a 10-year span, California had its energy prices almost double. Wildfire cost shares 10 to 24% gone. California is double the cost of energy versus the national average for residential. Been trending up all along, and wildfires become a structural driver of electric prices in the Western U.S. They pushed up utility costs, straining household budgets, challenging business competitiveness, and creating headwinds for EV adoption and building electrification. And the problem is the power companies on the West Coast are somewhat responsible for the fires. So it's not just a matter of the fact that, these wildfires are knocking down lines and destroying infrastructure. A lot of it's actually being caused by the power companies. And it's interesting. My AI.
Okay. So the fire, the in one of the big fires out there, 5-10 years ago, the fire was caused by a downed power line. So the Pacific Gas and Electric or whoever it was held responsible for that. Is that what you're saying, or simply because they lose transformers and lines and all that kind of stuff is damaged and they have to come back and it's more expensive to rebuild that infrastructure?
Well, and now what they're doing is they're putting some of that underground, making it so it can't get hit by fires. But you look at California's 32 cents for residential versus 11.4 for Oregon. Washington State is probably about the same as Oregon, although it didn't publish anything here. So areas burned is projected to rise 2 to 6x over the next about 30 years. Climate models and historical attribution studies indicate that warming and drying trends will greatly increase wildfire activity across the United States by 2041 to 2070 versus where it would have been between 71 and 2000. The Northwest and Southeast have the strongest projected growth in very large fire weeks. It's going to cause, more costs for hardening the grid, tighter insurance markets. Definitely going to have to be some work done to mitigate this.
Yeah, and what's interesting here, one comment that I came across on this today is that because of this increasing price, more people are beginning to install solar. Okay. But the problem then is that this tends to be the wealthier portion of the population that can afford to do that. So what's happening is they're gradually moving away how they fund their electricity, meaning that more of that grid, more of restoring that grid then falls onto a smaller and less wealthy part of the population. So that's something that has to obviously be taken into consideration.
It's kind of an interesting thought that as people who can afford to have solar and have their own microgrids are causing the power companies then to make their money off of the poor people who can't afford to have their own microgrids.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So data center demand is supposed to increase 130% by the end of the decade. We've got EVs and building electrification, aging grid, and climate and wildfire risks. It's all putting pressure on rates. And that doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon. Because it's interesting because, we heard people complaining about EVs. The grid can't handle EVs. Well, the grid can't handle AI, which is much bigger than the threat of EVs. And then on top of that, the information I'm digging up saying that an even greater threat than AI is fires. And so it's interesting to see where
which is I would assume was sort of the we don't have too much of we could have grass fires here in Nebraska and things, but if you're talking about major forest fires, you're probably Rocky Mountains west would be greater. And of course, you got bigger distances. You have more lines, fewer people within those sort of empty space areas to support being able to refund it. I mean, it's one thing to have the bulk of your population in the eastern part of the United States, where communities are fairly close together and infrastructure probably can be built with the cost being shared across a higher percentage of the population, as opposed to out west where you've got a few Boise and Salt Lake City. And, then what have you got? Well, you got Reno and Sacramento and San Francisco, large population centers, but huge spaces in between that require more power lines, more cables, more, transformers and substations and things of that nature to move that electricity back and forth.
Yeah. So here, what I'm proposing as kind of the solution is solar and storage are probably a lot of the answer. We're talking about the rooftop solar. As long as people have battery systems can back it up, especially when you're talking in places that have 30 to 45 cents a kilowatt hour costs for electricity, the payback period can get to be as little as 5 years up to 9 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Virtual, and then the grid can access those batteries and solar as virtual power plants to help with balancing out the grid.
And going forward, more and more the person's car is sitting in their driveway.
Yes, as that becomes a viable
We're
option.
not there, but we're heading that direction. So
yeah, I think we're going to see more of the home battery systems before we probably see a lot more there. But California wildfire cost recovery, $27 billion in a 4-year span.
Wow.
But anyways, like I said, they're looking at expanding underground as a way to keep the stuff safe from fire. But anyways, that was all I had there. That was all I had for covering today. We've gone almost 50 minutes. So,
hey, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
The passing, I have to I'm not mourning necessarily, but the passing of yet another electric vehicle
Uh-oh.
program has been killed.
What's that?
The Tweezy.
Oh no. I don't even know what that
Yes.
one is.
This was one of the earliest electric commuter city type cars, seated
Mhm,
two people, tandem, like a
mhm.
Piper Cub, and was designed, was in Europe, particularly in France where they were developed, they were called quadricycles. And they had a top speed of like 25, 30 miles per hour. I think 45 kilometers per hour was the fastest. And these were being built by Renault, and they were eventually became part of shared mobility systems that I forget the name now. What they call it, Mobile. I think it was called Mobile,
Mhm.
and was located in France and in Spain. And they finally pulled the plug on it, and they're not going to make it anymore. The interesting thing is that those cars were eventually, even though they started in France, they were being built in Morocco.
Oh,
And so that was one of the vehicles that was produced by Renault's plant. And I don't know if it's Rabat or, where it was exactly in France, but so they finally pulled the plug on that one. So it was a cute little car, great idea. Probably somewhat ahead of its time. Yes. Thank you, Bill.
Bobby.
Oasis, Bobby. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Sorry, Bobby. But yeah, so did its thing, had its share, but we keep seeing ideas like that coming back periodically. So we'll see what happens. But thank you to Renault for developing it and for sharing the idea with at least some parts of the world.
So it sounds like it was kind of like the Smart for Two, but a little less car-like.
A little less car-like, yeah. We just, it was something halfway between a car and a motor scooter on four wheels.
Yeah, I think
Weather, remember what was the thing that we had out in California? Unfortunately, I don't remember the name anymore. The little two-seater that was running around, you could lease in
you talking about
parts.
Archimoto?
Yeah, Archimoto, yeah. Somewhat similar to that, only more. If I wanted between the two, I'd take the Tweezy.
Hmm.
I don't know if we can show a picture, but it's not important. We're ready to wrap up anyway. But I just wanted to say thank you to the good folks at Renault for sharing the idea with us and bringing it to fruition and letting people enjoy a different approach to urban mobility.
Yeah, I see that the elf people have reached out to us again. That's kind of exciting.
Yes, yeah, he
Rob,
would. Yeah, they've brought their vehicle back, so we need to get them
have
on
them
the
on
show.
again. Yeah, that was actually a pretty popular topic. A lot of people.
Yeah,
There was, they haven't hit 1,000 production units yet, but still, it's funny because there's these Facebook pages of people that there's a fallen apart and they're willing to sell the parts to um, other elf users to
yep, yep,
part their bikes back together. Yeah.
yep.
Anyways, all right. Well, folks, Merry Christmas to you, and Bill and I be back on Friday. So when you get done returning all the gifts you didn't want on Friday morning, make sure to tune in. And,
Pop in, say
yeah,
hi.
pop
Yeah,
in, and yeah,
I will not be wearing this though, but I
there you
thought it
go.
would be appropriate. So
All
thank
right.
you to my daughter for making it for me, and best
Yes.
wishes for the holidays to all of you.
All right.